Hello retro gaming friends, today I have something from my youth. It's a game called Mag and I found this on actually a 9-in-1 compilation for business simulation games. Some of them I never heard of and are probably quite rare. I couldn't find any information actually on a few of those on the internet, so I thought it would be funny to talk about those. So this is the CD. It's not very pretty from the layouting, it's very cheap, and actually most of the games on there are shareware or demo versions or even free games that they just put in there. So I'm going through them from worst to best, and we're going to start with the first one, which is called FisHatchery. And that's what you're gonna do there. You have to hatch fish, buy fish, breed them and sell them at a profit, but the game is not very well balanced because you don't have to do any of the hatching. You can actually just buy a ton of fish very cheaply and instantly sell it for a big profit, and you will just skip the whole game this way. So you don't need all the workers, you don't have to care about your fish or anything. And I've actually played through the game within I think 2 minutes or maybe 3 minutes. You will see actually the end screen later on. As you can also see, the graphics are very horrible, very amateurish, but back at the day I guess everyone was making their own games and trying to earn a bit of money on the side with these shareware games. So I definitely can't recommend that game, but it's fun. It's fun to find out about those old games and how they work and how well the game designer, let's call it that, imagined the game to be played. Yes, as you can see, woohoo, we won with a great button. Yes, okay, the next game we're going to talk about is called BeauParc. It's a French game. It has kind of an English translation, not everything is translated, and also it's very amateurish. I mean, you can see it instantly with the graphics looking so poor and the interface is really not working that well, but generally speaking it's a relatively standard simulation building game, like a theme park game, and you actually build a park but not a theme park, more like a recreation park or something. And yeah, I mean, it kind of works. The controls are very clumsy, it's very hard to put down these buildings, and it's even harder to put down the streets. And well, what you have to do, you have to make your guests happy, though I don't think you can do anything wrong here. You just plow down the buildings and wait for the money to come in. So now I open the park and you can see all the beautiful cycle visitors and walking visitors here on our park. And they're just spending money, and we can use that to increase the park. So in size and scope. There are not many buildings. Everything you can build you see on the left there. I think there are a few that you will unlock later. I've read something about an actual restaurant. I didn't play it so long enough for that though, because I mean, it's not very interesting to play the game. But nonetheless, I mean, at least with the landscape I think they did a pretty nice job, even though the performance is really bad. With most of the Windows 3.1 games you see here, they are rather slow. So the next one is a DOS game. It's purely text-based and it's in German, so I'm going to skip over that a bit faster. It's a life simulation game, so you can choose a job, you can buy stocks, you can buy properties, sell them at a profit, and generally speaking you try to make as much money as possible. It's turn-based, it's nothing special, but it works, and don't ask me why they went for that color scheme. It looks really ugly, but well, it is what it is. You can play it, but it's not great. So yeah, off to the next one. Club of the Rich it's called, also a German game, also a Windows game, and this, well, actually it has something to it. So this is the first game I would not recommend, but I would say it's fun for a while. So what you're trying to do is you want to become rich, and you can do this by putting down your oil wells and sell oil. You can also play the stock market. You can buy houses and collect rent, and you can also buy ships and do some, actually shipping there. I think you can buy some goods on one harbor and sell them for a profit at another. But I haven't played it long enough to be even able to afford these ships because they are very expensive. So you actually start off here with collecting money from all. And yeah, after you figured out how the controls work, they are not very intuitive. Then the game actually is kind of nice. It's very random. Every turn there can be very harsh random events that can really screw you over. So I lost a lot of money at the stock. I wouldn't actually recommend putting too much in there. I felt just selling oil was more reliable. Here you can see the ships that you can buy, which are very expensive, but could be interesting there. So I really like that you unlock more actual gameplay the farther you go. I mean, it's not spectacular. Collecting the rent, for example, is completely automatic. It's just money that you get at the end of a turn, but yeah, that's it. You try to get richer and richer and richer, and the richer you are, the more stuff you can buy that makes you richer. Not too different to this game. As you can see, the server version of Truckin On. I haven't heard of that game either. This seems a bit more professional, and as it plays out completely in Australia, and the English is not as misspelled as in the other games, probably this game is from Australia. And what you have to do here is, you buy trucks, and then you can take contracts to ship any wares from one location to another, and you have to do the fuel management for the trucks, you have to repair them, you have to see that you make a profit there, then you can buy more trucks, have longer routes, and try to make more and more profit. So yeah, it's another typical business simulation game, but at least it doesn't look like total crap and it runs quite fine. There's quite a lot of stuff around the core game of your truck fleet, so you can also invest money in stocks. You can do insurance for your trucks or for the cargo, and yeah, you can buy better and better trucks. I'm not sure if there's a limit. What I've found a bit curious is that you have to do 2-player. There's no single-player mode, at least not in the server version. And the interface is a bit weird. It's not that both players are taking turns, but every time you do something, the game asks you who actually wants to do this action. Only if actually something happens to a truck of one of the players, then obviously it's just displayed to that player that the truck belongs to. And yes, the game is more or less running in real time, but you can pause it anytime you want. You actually have to press down over the start, then move the mouse out of that rectangle. That was really complicated for me at first. I was really thrown off by that, but there had been a README file that told me this. Yeah, here you can see that you can fuel up. If your truck runs out of fuel, you have to buy the fuel for a very high price, so you try that not to happen too often to you. Okay, I guess there's not much more to say about this game, so let's get to the star of the CD collection. The actual reason why I bought this thing is the game called Mac, and it's all about running your gaming magazine. It's also a German game, so a lot of references to German gaming magazines and German text. Sorry for that, but I try to explain as good as I can. So that's actually a game I did play quite a bit when I was younger, and I did enjoy it. There are some cool things in there. So first of all, what's really great that it's more or less a time capsule for the time. So it's very nostalgic because you have all the actual game magazines of that time and the actual games. And one thing that we will see later on that's really cool is that sometimes when you have a review in your magazine, you can actually get a scan of an actual German gaming magazine for the same game, and you can look at that and imagine that this is now your magazine that you have just brought out. So the main thing that you're doing actually is you're managing your staff. You have all the people working there, and well, they are specialized in different things, like for example walkthroughs or news or previews or reviews or whatever, and you assign them what they should do, and they are the basic tasks that you can always do, the ones that I just said, and then you have the reviews of the games. And you have to wait for those to come in, and then you can assign them to different people, and they have different knowledge about different gaming genres, so you try to match those, and then every month you try to get an issue of your magazine out, and hopefully you have enough pages for all the different categories and people will buy it. You can also select if you want to print in color or black and white, what fancy layouts you want to use, and stuff like that. You can have a subscription service, you can have a hotline for cheating, you can do advertisement for your magazine, and obviously there's advertising in your magazine, which will help to make money. It delivers on the promise, but as games from this era tended to be, it's quite obtrusive, so you don't get a lot of information. The main information is how many issues you sell per month, but you don't really know why people are buying it, or how many, or for what reason they are buying it, or what they are missing. You can do some surveys with your readers, but well, they only help so much. So it's a bit trial and error, or well, more positively you can say it's a puzzle. You have to figure out how this stuff works, and at some point it just makes click and you understand at least the basics, the most important things that help you to make money, and then you get to the point where you're making money and you get more profitable, and as it's normal with these games, it actually becomes a little more easy down the line. Some cool stuff is that you can have more than one magazine later on. You can have several in parallel, which is also necessary because some computer systems will get outdated and there won't be any new games for that. So I think the period that the game plays in is 1983 to 96 or 95, which makes sense because the game came out in 96. Here you can see one of the scans of a German gaming magazine for, I think it was Samantha something strip poker, I don't know. And you also sometimes you have special news that can also appear in your magazine. And I think that's kind of cool. It's like a reward for making the magazine to see those, kind of pretty images. I mean, the quality is not really great, and the loading time actually is quite horrible. For each of these images, you really have to wait a few seconds for them to show up. But it's okay. It's kind of cool. I think it got mixed reviews, but more on the positive side back then. I'm not so sure if they were so. If they actually had the permission to use all the scans, and they are using some real names from real magazines, I think at least, and some of their stuff. So I found a few guys that are still working in the industry here in Germany, or at least, if they have retired, they have some retro gaming podcasts or something like that. So if you know German, if you're interested in business simulation game, I think I can recommend that if you skipped it and if you want to give it a try. It poses a challenge that was interesting to me at least, so I started over several times because I really wanted to figure out. And the core loop, even though it's simple, it's quite nice. You assign your games, you have to see every month you have a different amount of games, and you really have to manage your stuff and try to get them occupied and get as many pages for your magazine as possible, and then make some money of it, and that's nice. And then from time to time you have some special events and stuff you have to take care of, so the pacing is quite okay, and the graphics are not even that horrendous if you remember the American Dream game we looked at last time. Alright, So with this, thanks for coming by. Hope you enjoyed this little spontaneous improvised review thingy here for these older games, and tell me in the comments if you know any of them. Maybe you have some more information on the more obscure ones that I have never heard of that I talked about before. And if you liked it, you can consider subscribing the channel and like the video. Thanks for this, and with that, see ya.